There is a place in West Africa where memory is not trusted, because sometimes memory lies, and in the forgotten edge of an unnamed forest, there is said to be a library that does not belong to the living, a library where no books are ever opened by ordinary hands, only by the one they call the silent keeper, and whoever sees him clearly forgets something they never meant to lose. Long ago, travelers spoke of a quiet village that sat far beyond mapped roads, a place surrounded by thick forest and silence that felt too intentional to be natural. The villagers lived simple lives, farmers, hunters, traders, but there was one rule they never spoke aloud. No one enters the forest after sunset. At the center of the village stood an old woman named Mama Ife. She was the keeper of stories. Not written stories, but remembered ones. When children forgot songs, she restored them. When elders misplaced names, she reminded them. But even Mama Eve had one story she refused to tell. A story about a library that appears only when memory becomes too heavy for the mind to carry. And a man who never speaks but writes everything down. It began with a boy named Kola. Kola was known for remembering everything. Dates, faces, conversations, even dreams. But one morning, he woke up and could not remember his mother's face, not even her voice. That same day, strange things began happening in the village. A fisherman forgot the river he had fished for 30 years. A bride forgot her husband's name on her wedding day. A teacher stood in front of his class and forgot how to read. Fear spread quietly at first. Then all at once. Mama Ife said nothing at first, but she began burning certain herbs at night. Her hands shook every time she did it. And then Kola disappeared. No footprints. No struggle. Only a strange symbol carved into the ground outside his home. A symbol no one in the village claimed to know. Yet everyone felt they had seen before. That night, Mama Ife finally spoke, and her voice was heavier than the silence around her. He has been taken to the library. The villagers thought she had lost her mind. But that night, something changed. People began dreaming the same dream. A forest with no end. A building made of bark, stone, and something that looked like dried memories. And inside it, shelves that stretched beyond sight. Each shelf filled not with books, but with fragments of lives. A laughter trapped in glass. A childhood stored in ink. A name written and rewritten until it no longer belonged to anyone. And always, in the center of it all, a man sitting silently at a long wooden table. The silent keeper. He never looked up. He only wrote, page after page after page. But in the dream, whenever someone tried to approach him, they would feel something slipping away. A memory, a detail, a piece of themselves. And they would wake up crying, unable to remember why. Back in the village, Mama Ife made a decision. She would go into the forest. Even if she never returned, the forest did not feel like a place. It felt like a thought that had been forgotten mid-sentence. Trees bent in unnatural directions as if listening. The ground softened with every step, as if trying to absorb her existence. And then, the library appeared. Not built, not constructed, but remembered into reality. Massive doors opened without sound. Inside, silence had weight. And there he was. The silent keeper. His face was calm, almost human. But his eyes reflected things no living being should carry. Behind him, shelves groaned under the weight of countless stolen memories. Mama Ife approached him slowly. For the first time, the keeper spoke. Not with words, but with writing. Letters appeared on the wooden table without ink. You brought him here willingly. Mama Ife's voice shook. I did not. The keeper paused, then wrote again. Every forgotten memory seeks a home. I only provide storage. And then she saw it. Kola. Not as a boy anymore, but as a memory being unbound from himself, floating between shelves, dissolving into fragments. Mama Ife fell to her knees. What is this place? She whispered. The keeper finally looked at her fully, and the air grew colder. This is where forgotten things go, when the mind can no longer carry them. But why Kola? She asked. The keeper hesitated, then wrote the final truth. He did not forget. He remembered too much. Mama Ife was never seen again in the village. Some say she became part of the library. A voice trapped between shelves, calling names that no longer existed. The villagers slowly forgot Kola, then Mama Ife, then the forest itself, until only silence remained. But on certain nights, when the wind moves in a strange rhythm, Those who listen carefully swear they hear pages turning somewhere deep within the trees, and a whisper, soft, deliberate, endless, as if someone is still writing, still remembering, still keeping everything that was never meant to be lost. And no one ever speaks of the forest again, because silence in that place was never empty.